What's your I can't believe other people don't do this hack? Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Vancher channel. Also, please share your thoughts on this video in the comments. Let's get started. Story 1. I always put my keys in the exact same pocket or spot at home. I haven't lost keys in years. My past self used to be a clown. My current self is a responsible adult. Story 2. Keep a running note of gift ideas for your loved ones year-round. When holidays, birthdays, etc. roll around, it's a lifesaver. Keep another note of TV shows, movies, books, music, games, whatever else you want to get to when you have time, and where to find them if applicable. The next time you have spare time and can't think of what to watch, go to your list. Put days that matter to your loved ones in your calendar, not just birthdays and stuff like that, anniversaries of loved ones' passings, sober birthdays, milestones. Make a point of reaching out on those days. Answer, yes. This has made a huge difference for me. Also, buy the Christmas birthday gifts when you see them year-round. Less of a single big hitter bill at Christmas. Plus, you don't have to remember where you saw that thing or if it will still be available when you return. Super helpful for those forgotten holidays too. Did you forget to buy a Mother's Day gift and you need to leave in 15 minutes? Grab one of the stashed gifts. Story 3. I have a keyboard shortcut on all my devices where automatically enters my email address. Edit, on an iPhone, you set it up by going to Settings, General I, Keyboard, Text Replacement. Answer, I too use the text replacements, lots of them. I have set them up on the Mac and they work on the iPhone too without needing to add them in the phone. I have all my text replacements starting with a comma, since usually a blank space would follow a comma. For example, comma dash gives me a long line used for partitions when separating notes like this. Other short codes are used for auto-typing addresses, oft-used sentences, etc. Since none of the short codes have a number following the comma, as might otherwise happen with commas separating thousands, 12 to 300, I never get the text replacements appearing when they ought not. For those that use H to auto-type their own Hotmail address, for example, won't it automatically appear when trying to type johnhellomail.com? Wouldn't comma ch work better without unintentionally triggering? Story 4. When planning a trip, create a list in Google Maps and add everything you might want to do. After researching on Reddit, TripAdvisor, Atlas Obscura, etc. It'll allow you to see a bird's eye visual of what's near each other so you can group things and have an easier time planning your days. Answer, this is a great tip. I do the same thing in the app Wanderlog. You can add everything to your places to visit list, then start grouping them out into an itinerary if you want to get that granular about it. It also links to guides and ideas for what to do, which I've found really helpful for planning. It's a free app with some great paid features, but I just have the free version and it does everything I need. Story 5. Windows 5 for clipboard history. I showed a coworker this last week and he looked at me like I invented fire. Story 6. Invest in multiple phone chargers. I have one by my bed in the living room, my home office, and my car. None of them are ever to be moved. The lone exception is the 5th charger that I keep in my travel bag, along with a power bank. Haven't seen my battery go below 20 in years. Answer, I do the same, but with several other household items. Basically, if it's small, frequently used by multiple members of the household, and pretty cheap to buy, then having multiples is a good idea. The classic example is scissors. If you have one good pair of scissors in the house, then it's always a hunt for the scissors. I just bought a dozen decent pairs, all exactly the same from AliExpress or whatever. A couple live in the kitchen, one in the study, and the remainder in a box in a cupboard. Where are the scissors? Is never a stress again. There's always some available. Same theory applies to nail clippers, small torches, glue sticks, hairbrushes, etc. Different things for each family. Most of these items are only a few each, if that, so for the price of a takeaway, you can make daily life so much simpler. Story 7. Microwave full ears of corn, husk on, 334 mins. It steams itself in the husk. Then cut the base stem off with about the first little bit of corn closest to the base. Pick it up by the top silk and the whole cob falls right out. All the silk stays with the husk. Corn is more snappy than boiled. Not mushy at all. And you don't have to mess with dehusking or waiting forever for a huge pot of water to boil. The first time you cut it right and the ear drops out of the husk is pretty satisfying. Story 8. If you're depressed and struggling with getting a grip on life in general, start small, like clean out a drawer or clear a small area, and then the next day do something else. And eventually you'll notice that you're able to manage the bigger tasks because the small ones are already done. Answer. Conversely, it's also amazing when you just check off a few big items weighing you down, and it can be really easy to procrastinate those things by always checking off little things. Pulling this from a comment I made recently, there's a thing I call the snakes, my snakes, or pee-wee snakes, and I have found that this is the main cause of negativity in my life. It comes from a scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where Pee-wee encounters a burning pet shop. He runs in and first sees snakes and is disgusted, so he runs to a chimpanzee cage and frees the chimp to help him. Then he frees the puppy with their fierce puppies with the chimp. He sees the snakes again and then goes to free the birds. Again, he sees the snakes and frees the rats. He sees the snakes and frees the fish, until finally all that's left is the snakes. He braces himself and runs out of the building, screaming with the snakes. He faints, and the snakes slither away. He was tormented repeatedly by this thing he knew he inevitably had to do, but kept procrastinating it by checking off other items that didn't bother him as much. If he had just handled it in the first place, then he wouldn't have been as tortured by it. I have found this to be a metaphor for many things in my life, and perhaps the most effective tool in bettering my mental health is handling these things I know I need to do, but keep putting off because I dread them. If I just get rid of them, I get over the hurdle and get to stop living in dread. Story 9. Telling my toddler that TV show characters go on vacation so we can take a break from watching them. Story 10. Hang washing on hangers. Eliminates most of the ironing and no pegs marks. Then just steam any clothes that need it on the hanger. So efficient. Answer. This is exactly what I do. We have a spare room that's essentially a budget walk-in wardrobe where everything is hung up on rails. Washing comes out, goes straight up on the rail, and we have a dehumidifier in there to dry it all out. And once it's dry, it's already hung up with everything else. Saves so much time, and I found that not a lot of things that I own really need ironing, so there's more time saved. Story 11. I turn pillowcases inside out, reach through the pillowcase to grab the end of the pillow roll case down over the pillow rather than trying to stuff it inside the pillow. Story 12. Prepare for your morning the night before. Whether it is for your usual morning routine or a one-off event, lay out everything you will need before retiring to bed so you barely need to think in the morning. Not only is it more relaxing, your mind will have the time to think of other small details you may have forgotten. Answer? Exactly. I can't understand how anyone who gets up and has to go to work in the morning can go to sleep without having everything ready to go before they go to bed. Clothes, lunch, work-related items. There's no way I sleep thinking, what am I going to wear? Do I have enough bread to make a sandwich? Where exactly did I place the reports I have to have for work? All I's must be dotted and all T's must be crossed before I hit the sack. I know I may be in the minority here, but I also have to shower before bed. Sleeping clean is very relaxing, and it's one less thing I have to deal with when I wake up. I need my mornings as hassle-free as possible. Story 13. If something can be done in less than 5 minutes, do it right away. Or if it takes longer, set a timer for 5-10 minutes and just start. I apply this mostly to cleaning because I don't like doing dishes or sweeping the kitchen floor. LOL. Story 14. Do a bit at a time. You walking to the kitchen? Take the things that need to go to the kitchen with you. You need to pick up. Every time you are in the room, pick as much as you can and do more next time. Story 15. Always set calendar reminders for every bill and subscription a few days before it's due or news. It takes 10 minutes to set up and has easily saved me thousands by now. Story 16. Pay your bills when they arrive, not when they're due. When you get that notification that your fill in the blank bill will be due in a few weeks, pay it right then and there. Don't put it off. Once you get into the habit, it becomes easy. And while it doesn't save you any money up front, shifting your bill, paying a few weeks ahead can pay off. If you're ahead on your bills and some emergency pops up, like a car repair, you don't have to choose whether to pay for that repair or your electric bill. You'll have a couple weeks worth of cushion to stave off paying a late fee. Creditors love late fees. Don't give them the satisfaction. Answer. Pay your bills on the due date, not before. You can obviously still pay them when they show up, but date the payment to the due date. By holding on to your money longer, you maximize the interest earned in your own accounts. Conversely, paying early transfers that benefit to the creditor's account. This difference, minor for individual transactions, adds up significantly over the long term. Story 17. Create a linen pack. I fold up the matching flat sheet, fitted sheet, Duna cover, duvet cover, quilt cover, and one pillowcase into a bundle and put it all inside the other matching pillowcase. It's easier to store and to grab everything you need for changing the bed. Story 18. Brushing the roof of my mouth when I brush my teeth. Shout out to the Redditor who posted a LPT about this a few years ago. Answer. I highly recommend those rubbery flared tongue scrapers. They are actually quite smooth, but with like a textured silicone-like material that beats the crap out of tongue brushing and is slightly less gagging. Also, because of Reddit, I now know not to rinse out my mouth after brushing because you're wasting the cavity, defeating properties of fluoride by discarding and diluting most of it instantly when you do rinse. Story 19. Soaking smelly t-shirts in vinegar and water overnight before putting them through a wash cycle to get rid of mild BO. It won't be as effective if your t-shirt reeks of severe BO, and using vinegar instead of fabric softener for the same reason. Answer: this works for cat pee as well. So if your cat pees on the dress you are supposed to be wearing to a wedding in 2 days, you can soak it for 24 hours and then wash it, and no one will know. Just don't soak it for too long, or then you can't get the vinegar smell out very easily. No longer than 48 hours, and even then I wouldn't suggest more than 24-30. Story 20. Well, it's not a hack, but if you get arrested, you have the right to a lawyer, even if you can't afford one. Like you get a free lawyer that will help you when the police ask you questions. You should use that lawyer, LOL. Answer: I do not answer questions. I want my lawyer. And police can't ask you questions that are admissible in your court hearing. They can keep you in a room for as long as they're legally allowed to, or put you in holding cell, but you're eventually going to see a judge. All this, if you answer my questions, we'll see what we can work out, is a trap. If you're under arrest, you're going to be spending time in jail or a couple of days at least. Get this notion out of your head that you can explain everything and work it out with the cops. They're not your friend, regardless of how kind and friendly they sound. Just shut your cake hole, ask for a lawyer, and wait to see a judge. You don't even have to have a lawyer on retainer. People think that because they haven't ever hired a lawyer, that they're not legally obligated to one for free. Story 21. Intentional time away from screens. I recently started to struggle with online time. As someone that doesn't have any of the typical vices, I think it shorted the dopamine pathway for me. Started to feel crappy when I shouldn't. Neck was sore from looking down at phone iPad all the time. Fixed by being intentional with what I pick up my phone device for. Send an email, send and put it down, etc., etc. Not so much for productivity, more for presence. Read a book, brew tea, sit on the porch, think. Life is passing us by, staring into these black mirrors. Story 22. Put your food processor on a dish towel. It makes it really easy to slide it in and out of its spot in the corner of the counter. Story 23. There is nothing wrong with pre-cut, pre-made, or pre-packaged food. It can make a huge difference in your eating habits. I was in a pretty bad place for the past year and would survive on one grilled cheese sandwich a day. Pre-boiled rice together with pre-cut vegetables and fruits helped me to get back to healthy nutrition. I need it less these days, but I'm incredibly thankful that they were there for me. Story 24. Eat at least 30 grams of fiber every day. High fiber foods I keep in my daily rotation: raspberries, kiwi, apples, sweet potatoes, carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, green beans, whole wheat bread, whole grains, oats, farro, brown wild rice, barley, amaranth, teff, etc., legumes, chickpeas, black beans, pinto beans, mung beans, soybeans, lentils, etc., chia seeds, flax seeds. I average 60 grams of fiber a day. Edit: ditch the expensive fiber supplements and get your fiber in a neat package with phytonutrients and micronutrients. Story 25. I keep a tiny notebook of things I pretend I'll remember but absolutely won't. Saves my life weekly. Story 26. Just Watch allows you to track movies, TV shows you've watched and want to watch. It also tells you where things are streaming. It's so helpful. Story 27. Avoid petrol stations at the motorway. When I was a student living in the countryside, I needed to use the car a lot to go to the city. Petrol was my main expense throughout the year. Motorway stations are like 30 more expensive. First, try to fill the deposit always at a cheap one to not have to stop later. But in the motorway, you can usually find a station close to an exit that is much cheaper. You might lose 4 to 5 minutes with the exit and re-entry. If the time is more important, then of course I break this rule. But it happens only in a few very long trips. Sometimes I also fill only a small amount that allows me to reach my destination and find a cheaper one later. Story 28. Whenever I received an email from any coworker without a subject line, I reply with a canned message that their message was undelivered due to the missing subject. It only took me 3 months to train my boss. Story 29. I have a routine. Routines are simple, yet powerful. They take stress, anxiety, and guesswork out of your life. Routines are my biggest hack. Here are other hacks that I use for my weekly cleaning routine, and these all make me wonder, why doesn't everyone use them? Set timers. They keep you efficient and prevent you from overexerting yourself. Once the timer is done, take a break. Laundry day is bathroom cleaning day. If you're already washing everything in there, it's easy to clean the bathroom while towels, loofahs, and bath mats are in the laundry. You don't need several sets of sheets. Just strip the bed on laundry day, wash the bedclothes, remake the bed. You don't have to fold fitted sheets if they're already in use. Keeping a backup set is a good plan, but there's no point to more than that EMO. Wash your shower loofahs with your towels. Last load of laundry on laundry day is white bar mops. We use these as kitchen towels. Use chlorine bleach in the load with an auto soak and an extra rinse. When you put the load in the dryer, leave the washer open to air dry. Once a week, bleaching will ensure you don't get musty odors or mildew. I keep a dish scrub brush in the shower, the kind that you can fill with soap. I fill it with a combo of dish detergent and white vinegar. I also keep a small plastic cup in the shower too. I can dispense cleaner from the brush, scrub my shower, then rinse with the cup. I do it while I deep condition my hair. Finally, anything worth doing is worth half-assing. It's better to get part of a task done than not getting it done at all. You'll be in a better mood after, and it's cleaner than it was before you did that chore in the most mediocre way possible. I'm disabled, so doing chores has to be broken down into smaller bites, so things will get done without me hurting myself inadvertently, getting too exhausted, or burning out and not doing anything. Story 30. For my everyday wear, I bought a couple of multi-packs each of identical gray-black socks, so I don't have to spend time matching them up. When one gets a hole, I can toss it and still have a mate. Story 31. Regularly wipe the paws of their dogs and cats to get rid of any dirty residue, especially before the dogs and cats get on the bed. Story 32. Always keep the napkins you're given and store them in your bag, car, whatever. Same goes for plasters, Band-Aids, paracetamol, pens, hand sanitizer, and maybe small snack bars. People may give you shoot about storing all these random things, but you'll always have this random stuff on hand when someone needs it. Story 33. Bought a bidet. Not only do you save money on TP, but everyone's bits are happier for it. Also, wiping your jerk sucks. Can't believe they aren't more mainstream, pun intended, like in Japan. Story 34. I keep multiple bank accounts, one for me, one for pet vet bills, one for large house repairs, one for general emergency unexpected expenses, etc., and have my stuff set to automatically pull money into the accounts for specific things on the 5th of the month. I'm paid on the 1st of the month. Most of the time, I deliberately forget I have any other bank accounts, and the only time I find out how much money is in them is when I need them. It would not work if I didn't make a reasonable amount of money. But I've been doing it since I was 20, and it means that when the water heater suddenly dies, or one of my cats gets sick, or I need a new roof, I'm not left scrambling and trying to figure out how to pay for it, because I've already been working on paying for it for months, sometimes years, before it happened. Story 35. In every hotel room in America is a closet with a specific set of hangers that have the metal clips on them. Those clips work marvelously to clip the window shades together so the sun doesn't leak in and wake you up. Story 36. Using a safety razor. They'll give you a better shave with less irritation than cartridge disposable razors, all for a fraction of the cost. Safety razors average around 10 cents per blade, as opposed to the 1 or 2 or more for cartridge razors. You don't need multiple blades on a razor to shave. You need one. The rest are just scraping your skin, making it more likely to cause ingrown hairs and razor burn. If you're someone who doesn't like to shave often, safety razors will go through a couple of weeks worth of thick stubble growth, no problem. Those of you who have tried that with a cartridge razor know that you get nothing but snagging. You can get a decent safety razor handle for $20. I've had mine for over 15 years. I give it a rinse with soap and water anytime I change the blade. It still looks brand new. Answer. For the I tried a safety razor and it tore me up crowd, blades matter. Everybody's face and skin are different, so the blade that works for me might not work for you. You have to try out different blades to find the one that works best with your skin and contours. Get a blade sampler pack from Amazon and rank each one until you find the one that works best. After you find your blade, buy a 100 pack of them. I used a gift card to buy a 100 pack probably 7 years ago and still have about 10 or 20 left. I now work from home and have gotten lazy about shaving, electing to just trim my beard when it bugs me. Still, a single double-edged blade would last me 4 separate shaves. It could go longer, but at less than a nickel a shave, I wasn't worried about it. Taking the time to properly lather up also makes a huge difference. I like to shave after a shower so I can let my hair get soft in the steam because I have coarse hair. When I'm in a hurry and need a shave, though, it still works well with some shave cream and hot water. If you can afford the time, pamper yourself a little. Story 37. Not a hack, but showering at night, before bed. You have an entire day's worth of grim all over you and in your hair. Why would you want to bring that into your bed? Story 38. When I use color conditioner on my hair in the shower, I apply it with a disposable glove on, and then use the glove to tie my hair up while the dye works as magic for a few minutes. Story 39. iPhone tip. Took me a while to learn that long pressing and holding your spacebar turns it into a mouse so you can better place your cursor. This might be common knowledge to most, but I've seen so many of my friends deleting whole sentences or tapping their screens to get the cursor in the right place. Apple Watch. Create a shortcut for just press record. You have it handy when your toddler tells a story or just goofs off. It's different from vid because you are just naturally capturing stuff. I have so many precious recordings that are so heartbreakingly funny, and now that they are older, I regret not having more. I realized that I don't have a single voice recording of my dad, so I started recording my mom when she tells stories of her past. Story 40. Press Ctrl-Shift to instantly reopen the last closed browser tab. It saves 99 of accidental closures. Story 41. I have 3 bank accounts, checking, savings, and another savings labeled monthly bills. Each month I put the exact amount of money for my bills in that account, and I have everything on autopay. Set it and forget it. I keep track of when it's drawn in an Excel spreadsheet I made. I never have to worry about overdrafts, and I know exactly how much spending money I have left because it's whatever my checking balance is. I have received several compliments from bank tellers over the years. Story 42. Every morning while my coffee brews, I open a note called Yesterday Today. I write down 3 things that worked yesterday and 1 thing I want to do better today. Takes under a minute, but it trains your brain like you've got a personal coach living in your head. Story 43. Spring-type clothespins. They are great for clipping bread wrappers shut. Just twist the end of the wrapper and clip it. It is much easier than messing with those twist ties. Story 44. I can only speak for the UK, but the hoses at every fuel station I've ever been to in my 20 years of driving reach the far side of the car. Yet people still queue to get a pump on the same side as their fuel cap. Story 45. Instant PC lock. Press Win-L on a Windows PC to instantly lock your screen. Essential for quick privacy when stepping away. Story 46. If I'm invited to a Christmas party where I have gifts for some friends, I wrap 2 boxes of chocolates and attach a blank name tag so that if I receive a gift from someone unexpectedly, I can quickly scribble their name and it looks like I had a gift for them the whole time. If I don't have to deploy the tactical chalk, then I have a nice treat for January. Story 47. Skip the placebo week of birth control and start a new pack. It's perfectly safe and I haven't had a period in 3 years. Story 48. I use a shower poof with bar of soap. Rub the bar of soap on the shower poof, not on you, and get tone of lather. The bar of soap costs a fraction of the same brand of body wash and lasts longer. This saves money and is so good for the environment. Answer. Hey, I'd recommend exfoliating gloves. I think they get rid of dead skin better in dirt. Loofahs sometimes, if tied in the middle, collect bacteria as it takes longer to dry as it's more dense. Hope this makes sense. I love loofahs for the lather, but to be clean, exfoliating gloves, especially because they have finger you can get behind your ears better like your fingers would. Story 49. Make time for working out and prioritizing healthy eating. The benefits are so great and the consequences for avoiding it are so severe. It's crazy to me that only a small minority of people do this. Story 50. Using kitchen shears, scissors, to cut food directly into the pan or bowl. Green onions, shears. Chicken, shears. Bacon, shears. I haven't washed a cutting board for a quick meal in years, and I can't believe people still dirty a whole board just to chop one thing. Story 51. When we had our first kid, we started getting groceries delivered. The idea of getting him all changed and ready and around a supermarket as a family day out was hard, so we started getting the deliveries and we've kept it going. The idea of spending an hour in a supermarket is now wild to me. We add to our online cart through the week and get it delivered when it suits. Could be a Saturday morning before we go out or a Thursday at 8 p.m. The monthly delivery fee is $6 for someone to pick, pack, and deliver 45 times a month is a crazy price for saving that amount of time. Story 52. I saw a movie where a woman was mad because the man forgot to buy a present, but he had it stashed in a closet. It was weird, but what I took from it was that you could buy presents in advance and have them ready for the next occasion. If you find something better, you can save the banked present, but you always have something in case you forget or don't have time. Story 53. Make smoothies for their kids every day. So easy, kids love them, and so easy to pack heaps of good stuff in there. Ideal for fussy eaters too. Story 54. A watch list is great, but even after adding everything to a watch list, I couldn't decide to watch something or convince myself I don't feel like X and would continuously doom scroll for something to watch until I put my watch list into a digital wheel. Now, when I want to watch something, I spin the wheel and take all the decision out of it. Story 55. Digital piracy. You pay money for subscriptions to these big companies, and you can't even watch what you really want to, or they suddenly take it away from you, or they raise the prices, still have to deal with ads, can't share your account. You're using the internet. You can get it all for free. Story 56. When you're cooking something using a recipe on your phone, play a YouTube video in mini mode at the same time to keep the screen turned on. Story 57. Pee sitting down as a dude when you're at home. It's superior because you won't miss, can still browse on your phone while peeing, and you can even squeeze one out as you pee. Story 58. Learning keyboard shortcuts like Control-C, Control-P, Control-S, Control-X, etc. on an iPhone using the spacebar like a cursor to move around a message or a post. Game changer. Folding duvet pillowcases inside the pillowcase to keep the set together. Hanging clothes neatly on a rack or washing line so they dry flat properly. Story 59. Honestly, just cooking. It's so much fun and so much cheaper than going out to a restaurant. Plus, so much of cooking is just applying heat to things and being safe about it. Story 60. When you buy a thing that has warranty, take a picture of the receipt with your phone, then store the picture in a dedicated warranty folder. Lastly, rename the receipt YYMDD item name, where the date is the expiration date of the warranty. Now you have all your warranties easily accessible, and you can sort them by date. Story 61. Use your calendar reminder list to manage your friendships. It is so easy to let friendships fall by the wayside as adult life gets busier. This is especially the case when people move away. I have a recurring reminder to send texts to people just to say, hey, what's up? This is especially helpful when you're in a period of life when you are in the thick of things for a while. Like after you become a new parent. That hard phase of life lasts for a long time and friends can start feeling forgotten. Story 62. I always eat before grocery shopping, so I don't end up buying random cravings. Honestly, can't believe more people don't do it. Story 63. Always put the silverware and napkins at the end of a buffet potluck. Keep those hands free to fill up a plate. Same with drinks. Always in a separate area or at the end of the line if it has to be there. Story 64. Speed up YouTube videos on subjects you understand well or where the speaker explains things too slowly for your liking. It's a time saver, literally. Story 65. Other people also said starting small, but it's so true. When I can't get myself to clean my room, I just get myself to pick up a few clothes from the floor, but usually I end up cleaning the whole room. Story 66. I have a couple credit cards and always would forget how each of them earn points. I wrote it out with a label maker and stuck it to each card, so now I can just grab the one that says 5 dining at the restaurant and always make sure I'm getting the most of the cards. Story 67. I have a few. Bundling bed sets up in a pillowcase per bed, washing up, unloading the dishwasher while cooking, stacking tasks, taking laundry out while unloading the machine, then taking the dry to put away. Having 10 minutes to go and seeing how many of my tasks I can get done in that time. Inviting a friend over to make myself clean. Cooking for 2, even though it's just me so I can have leftovers for lunch to save on cooking. Allowing myself big purchases as an Xmas gift from the cat. It means I have to pick one thing but can do so without guilt. Putting the age someone is on the calendar so you can keep track of when it's a landmark birthday. Story 68. I just recently picked this up from an elderly couple. A list of shows to watch via which app they're on. They said they got sick of Netflix or Hulu promoting a show on the landing screen and then it disappearing after they were interested but in the middle of another series. Having a physical list to resort to with codes for wife's choice, husband's choice, suggested by kids for grandkids. And we tried it, but it wasn't good enough to finish. Story 69. Use NordVPN and select Albania as your country to watch no ads on shows or YouTube. Turn it off when you're on your banking stuff or shopping sites so it didn't mess your location up. If you're using it for Tubi, just start playing the movie, start VPN, no ads. YouTube, start it before loading. No ads. It's so nice and I instantly rage when I have to load a 30-second video and just know it's going to make me watch an ad first. Story 70. The most unbelievable hack for me is related to post-meal cleanup. As soon as the food is plated, literally the second the chili is scooped or the lasagna is served, I fill every single used pot or pan with scalding hot water and a squirt of dish soap. Why torture your future self? By the time everyone is done eating and the small plates are cleared, the dried, crusty sauces and burnt bits have lifted off the bottom and practically dissolved. That hour of soaking means you skip 90 of the scraping misery later. It feels like a massive future self reward and genuinely saves so much time and frustration. Story 71. If you drive and have muscle tension in your back or hamstrings, keep a lacrosse or tennis ball in the car. Stuck in traffic or driving long distances? Put the ball between the seat and your sore muscles and enjoy a little deep tissue massage. Keeping the ball in one place for several minutes and just gradually relaxing into it is way more effective for me than any kind of purpose-made massage gun tool. Story 72. Neti potne sil douching in the shower. It's easier. Filling mouth with water and dropping pill in mouth. Story 73. Brush your dog's teeth. I've been brushing my boy's teeth every night since he was 1, and he's not had to have his teeth cleaned under anesthetic in the 6 years since. It's super easy to do. I just use a toddler toothbrush from the supermarket. I like the 2-pack from Aldi. Doing this has saved me easily over $10,000 in vet bills. You'd be surprised how much just the anesthetic itself costs, let alone the vet fees. It also means he's not having to have frequent anesthetics, which is better for his long-term health. Story 74. If you are worried about missing your alarm or don't have access to one, before going to sleep, continuously state the time you wish to wake up inside your head. 7 a.m., 7 a.m., 7 a.m., 7 a.m., 7 a.m., 7 a.m. If I ever want to wake up early to watch a sporting event or leave the house super early, I'll use this trick to avoid setting an alarm that wakes up the rest of the house. Story 75. Add people's birthdays to your calendar the first time you learn it. Friends, family, coworkers, and other such people you like, but might not know or remember their birthday. It's a small thing, but getting a happy birthday X email or text from someone not in your immediate family can be really touching. That someone thought to remember your birthday. I've been doing it for years, and a few people have conveyed what it meant that I bothered to know it at all. Story 76. We keep notes on company dinners, who came, date, what we serve with specific notes. We do it for functions that we go to too. This way, you know what was a hit or miss. Sometimes you don't want to repeat, oh, you brought this last time. Story 77. Take time to track time. It started for me as a kid who loved taking long hot baths but would get so easily distracted as the water level rose slowly, old house, unattended. I got the idea that if I waited by the tub and timed how long it took just once, then I could just set a timer and go off and do whatever else I wanted for without worry. Story 78. Keep a running list of accomplishments at work. You now have things to discuss during your reviews and resume updates. If you have direct reports you need to review, keep a running list too. Ideally, you're already discussing these throughout the year in one-on-ones and keeping notes. But if not, a running doc is going to make reviews a lot easier. Story 79. Setting multiple alarm clocks throughout the day for things that need to be done at a specific time. I too often miss the calendar reminders. Need to be at place X at a certain time. Set an alarm for when you need to get ready. Need to call that company during business hours. Set an alarm. Your medication in the evening, etc. Story 80. Direct deposit with an allotment to savings. Figure out what you need to pay, all your bills, and set that to go into your checking, and all extra goes to savings. When you get a raise, don't change your lifestyle and keep the savings growing. I would not have anything saved if I didn't do this. Story 81. Put your carry-on luggage in the bin across from your seat, not immediately overhead. If the bin is open, you can still see it, and when you leave, you don't have to reach backwards. Story 82. When you're threading a bolt, turn it anti-clockwise until you feel it drop into the start of the thread. Then you can tighten it clockwise. Helps avoid cross-threading. Story 83. Putting my phone on Do Not Disturb every night. My sleep got 10x better, and I can't believe people still let notifications wake them. Story 84. Count the months on your knuckles. Every knuckle has 31 days. Every space between the knuckle has 30 days. Sometimes 28 in Feb. Works like a charm. Story 85. Make a note on your phone, and every time someone in your friend group says something everybody has to laugh about, you write it down. I've been doing it for years, and it reminds you and the people around you of the little fun moments you're having together years down the line. Story 86. I create a small 3-point list each evening, which identifies the essential tasks needed for the following day. The 5-minute process helps me create a more organized tomorrow. Most people remain surprised that this simple practice remains unknown to them. Story 87. Take lactase when lactose intolerant. So many people just swear off dairy for the rest of their lives. Story 88. Use a credit card the right way and earn cash back. 1. Save up $5,000, place it in a bank account with interest. 2. Get a credit card with max amount $5,000. 3. Use the card for everything you normally buy. 4. Pay the full amount each time the bill comes. 5. Get cash back. If shoot really hits the fan, you can always pay the credit card bill, cut the card in half, and be free of debt. Story 89. I forget what the keys are, but I believe you hold the alt key, then type 0191, and it produces an upside-down question mark. I would often reply with just that when I used to receive a logically impaired email. The best part is they would reply with, "What does this mean?" Then I would respond with exactly. It was one of my favorite things to do. Story 90. If you were ever counting out a register after closing, I see almost everyone grab all of one type of coin and then dispense them one or two at a time back into the drawer and then complain about how long it takes. Quit being dumb and lay them out in a pile on the counter. Then use all 10 of your fingers to slide the coins into piles of 10, one coin per finger. Then count the groups. It's stupid fast and not at all annoying. Almost impossible to lose count. Only works if you have all 10 fingers though. Edit. I can't find a video of this, and despite having showed dozens of people this trick, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who has ever thought to count coins this way. Answer. Count bills in threes. 3, 6, 9, 10, and set the stack in an alternating pattern. You do something 3 times, then one slightly different, and you only have to keep track of the times you did different or count the stacks and do the math at the end. Way faster and easier. No real counting. Less mistakes. I do coins like that once, though, then stack and make matching height stacks. Story 91. With long socks, stockings, pantyhose, and tight pants, I just put my arm in, punch to the bottom, then bunch it as I pull my arm out so I can easily put my foot leg through. The alternate is standing there forever gathering millimeter by millimeter from the opening ending, then gingerly putting your foot through. Story 92. Drill a 12 hole at your trash bin. Use the hole to spray fly poison in it so that when you open it, all the flies don't come out. Story 93. Shake your hands 5 to 10 times above the sink after washing. Take a single paper towel, no matter how tiny or thin, fold it in half. This is key. Dry your hands entirely without wasting like 4 pounds of paper. Story 94. Kitchen shears for everything. I barely use a knife anymore. Cutting pizza? Shears. Chopping herbs? Shears. Cutting chicken into bites for a stir fry? Shears. It's faster and way easier to clean than a cutting board. Story 95. Using money back apps, reward points, etc. I save up these all year, and it pays for all the Xmas presents I buy. Story 96. I put random things that go to something or broke off of something when I can't figure out what they go to. I have a little missed parts pieces bin. Anytime I go to use something and I'm missing a button or lid or screw or piece, I just pull out the box. 910 times the teeny mystery piece is found and am saved having to reorder the item or use it without all its functions. I even put hoodie drawstring in there if IDK what it came from. Story 97. Hold on to your lab goggles from high school, college, and keep them in your kitchen. Cutting onions can stay a metaphor for crying, not a reason. Story 98. For work, I keep a task with the year as a subject, but no due date in Outlook. Whenever I accomplish something that was big enough that I told my sweetheart, my mother, or both, I listed in the task. Makes writing my end-of-year review much easier, and makes sure I don't miss calling out any accomplishments. Story 99. Open any jar lid by putting on a rubber dishwashing glove first. If they're super stubborn, run the top of jar under hot water, hit the lid with a knife at a 45 angle. Story 100. Budgeting regardless of YPO financial situation. It's a no-brainer to improve your saving amount and to reduce unnecessary purchases. Story 101. Install a bidet attachment on their toilet at under 50 at one of the most life-improving per dollar spent purchases you will ever make. Story 102. I installed snaps on the corners of my duvets and our duvet covers. The blanket doesn't get twisted inside nearly as bad, and it helps my kids wrangle a large laundry item. Story 103. I've started deep cleaning one area a week while I do a load of washing. It's like a race to beat the clock. Sometimes I'll be so into it or close almost being done that I'll keep going after the washing finishes, and other times I'll just stop. Either way, I have P&E clean room that week. Story 104. Thinking about your future self. For things big and small, like loading the dishwasher in a way that makes unloading faster, such as placing like cutlery in the same basket. Picking out tomorrow's clothes tonight. Story 105. I always take a photo of where I park my car. It saves me so much time, and I'm surprised more people don't do it. Story 106. I have a small box of greeting cards for birthdays, sympathy, congratulations, thank yous, and blank. I also have a number of shared 15 gift cards, Starbucks, Amazon, and Target mostly. This has saved me a few times. Story 107. Fold all the pieces of your bed, yet except for one pillowcase. Tuck everything neatly inside the remaining pillowcase and close up the pillow envelope by folding it inside itself. Tidy, uniform, easy to access, and impossible to miss pieces of the set when you go to make the bed next time. Story 108. Take your socks off right side out. It saves so much time later and takes 0 extra seconds when you're taking them off. Story 109. Many email providers have a feature built in where you have essentially unlimited email addresses. Gmail is one. If you are, say, reddit@gmail.com, you can do Reddit literally whatever you want at gmail.com. It will all go to your inbox. Makes it easier to find where data leaks came from, too. Story 110. I've always struggled with people and communication. One of my more social friends told me, everyone is just big kids who need something, and it had changed my whole outlook on communication and reduced my frustrations with people. Story 111. Control backspace to delete an entire word. Control shift arrows to highlight entire words. Curl arrows to move cursor entire words. Story 112. As an IT worker, I'm often shocked to see the amount of people that don't use basic shortcut keys. I often hear the excuse of, I'm not a computer person. But yes, you are. You have been sitting behind a PC for the last 5 years now for 40 hours a week. How don't you know Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V? At that point, you have chosen to make your life more miserable and slow. Anyway, I managed to save a lot of lives with this shortcut, Ctrl-Shift-T. It reopens your last tabs, often filled back in with what you're doing, and also after rebooting your PC. It doesn't sound like much, but you will be shocked how often it comes in clutch and at the right time. Story 113. My ex and I both have a changing work and travel schedules. We keep a shared Google Calendar with the kids on it so we can all figure out logistics ahead of time. This won't work with all families, but it has saved us because so much gets lost in verbal or text communication. It took a few mess-ups, but I just kept repeating, was it on the calendar? Enough, and they eventually got into the habit. Story 114. Cleaning the blender by letting it run for 3 seconds with just water. I was 100. Sure, everybody does this until I raised someone's complaint about smoothies being not worth their time because cleaning the blender takes too long. Story 115. Temporary email addresses. Now you can sign up for whatever you want online without getting your personal email bombarded with spam. There are tons of web services for this. It will take you less than 10 seconds to find one with a search engine and have your new email address copied to your clipboard. Story 116. Wash and tidy up as you go when cooking. It drastically reduces cleanup time when you are full and lazy after dinner. Story 117. Buy all your favorite media on disk, then burn it into a digital file and save it on an external hard drive. It's like streaming, but more reliable, which is better. And you don't have to worry about region codes either. Just import from wherever. Story 118. Putting my phone on Do Not Disturb every single night. I thought everyone did this until people started telling me they wake up to 37 notifications and anxiety. Bro, just let the world wait until morning. Story 119. We have a separate email just for household bills. All of our medical stuff, credit cards, mortgage, car, etc. all go to that email. Makes it a lot easier to find it all and manage it. And we don't use it for anything else, so we don't have a ton of spam and know precisely what companies sell our data to marketers because any new spam coincides with adding another account. Story 120. Bicycling to work instead of driving. 30 minutes of light exercise per day, a nice mental break between working and not working, and cheaper than having to have a newish, reliable car for daily driving. I still own a car, but an old and cheap one since I don't need it every day. Story 121. As someone who struggled with a messy home for many years, take 5-10 minutes before bed and straighten up the house. Also make a list of things that need accomplished. Laundry, dishes, floors, etc. Schedule them and stick to it. None of these things really take any time if you just keep up on them. My house is always perfectly neat and clean, and I only spend an hour or so a week keeping it that way. Story 122. When making hard-boiled eggs, I use a vegetable steamer. I assemble the eggs around the steamer, add water, and turn the stovetop on, leaving the top off the steamer. Once I see steam beginning to rise, I put the lid on and set the timer to 14 minutes. I fill the sink with cold water, and as soon as the timer completes, I shock the eggs in cold water and leave them to cool down. Eggs peel very easily most every time. Story 123. Keyboard related, so it's situational, but F2 is a lifesaver for renaming stuff. From changing file names to database entry to fields and program editors. That awful click pause and then click again can eat your time one small nibble at a time. No longer. Click once, F2, and get to typing. Story 124. When traveling, make the checklist of what you're bringing and how many of an item. 3 shirts, 2 pants, etc. Then write how long the trip is, so now you will always have a pre-made list of what you need to pack for certain trip lengths. The checklist also helps when you're packing up to leave, so you make sure you don't leave anything behind. Story 125. Lightly toast both sides of the bread before making a grilled cheese sandwich. It makes it better. Plus, I put the butter directly on the pan and rub the bread into it. People that just butter bread are psychopaths. Story 126. I buy flowers before Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, etc. It's more of a surprise, although less now that I've been doing it for 10 years. No lineup, and the florist put more time into it than on bouquet number 700 on the day. Plus, then I get the smug satisfaction of walking by the florist on the day of and seeing 50 people waiting in line checking their watches. Actually, you know what? Don't tell anyone. I'm keeping my hack. Story 127. When trying to point out something in the distant and can't describe where to look quickly, pull out your phone camera and zoom in to show the person where to look. Story 128. My husband and I got in an argument this weekend about what an escrow is and why it's a good thing, to find a lower rate on our home insurance policy. Because the insurance money isn't directly coming out of his bank account, he doesn't comprehend the savings impact. I thought I was being gaslit by a 60-year-old. Do PPL not pore over their mortgage statements to understand every little detail about them? Story 129. Use my non-dominant hand to move the mouse. Try it. Give it 3 weeks to sink in. It's a game changer. Story 130. If you have the room, getting sweet basil and rosemary plants, or herbs. They are hardy, easy to take care of, and give you free herbs year-round. Story 131. Sleep, I-36F. Get teased at work because I am very strict with my schedule. 8:30 p.m. is my bedtime. Granted, I read or scroll on my phone for a bit, but still, I'm in bed at 8:30. I wake up at 5:15 a.m. to get my kids on the bus. That is 8 hours and 45 minutes of sleep. Recently, 5 days ago, my schedule changed at work, and I don't get off until 9:30 p.m. Still wake up every day at 5:15 a.m. on the weekdays. And let me tell you, I am exhausted all day, every day. I have no clue how people function on such little sleep. So my life hack is sleep, and I legitimately don't know why more people don't sleep. It's a total game changer for me. Story 132. I get haircuts for free at a hairdresser's academy close to home. It usually takes more time since they are novices, but their teacher is ready to step in if needed. I sometimes get my hair bleached and dyed there for free as well. One only needs to pay for the materials used. Story 133. I buy gifts throughout the year. Maybe there's a 4th of July Hello Kitty shirt on clearance that my kid will love. I buy it and toss it in the gift bin, Rubbermaid tote, in my closet. A store is having a great sale. A Hot Wheels car is not going to expire. I have an aunt who loves Halloween, and if I find Halloween earrings, why not put them aside for her gift? It saves me money but also makes my holidays less hectic. Story 134. Microwaving plates before serving dinner. Food stays warm longer, and timing all the components of the meal becomes much more forgiving. Story 135. Put your phone out of reach before sleeping, so you have to get up to turn the alarm off. Helps me from hitting snooze or turning it off and going back to bed. Story 136. Back into parking spaces. It provides superior visibility and makes it so much easier to exit the parking lot when you leave, especially when going out to dinner, because it will be darker out and you may have had a couple of drinks. Obviously, if the spots are diagonal, the lot has signs prohibiting backing in. This does not apply. Story 137. Buy deli containers. Incredibly stackable, incredibly cheap. Use them for mixing, eating, storing, freezing. So cheap, it's okay to throw away. They all use the same size lid, dishwasher if you want. Story 138. I load forks, spoons, and knives grouped into specific spots in the dishwasher. They do not mingle. When I unload the clean dishes, I can just grab a batch and place them directly in their spot instead of sorting through a mixture of spoons, forks, and knives. Story 139. Make your own laundry detergent. I've been doing it for about 2 years, and it has cost me about 3 total since I started. Initial investment was around 15, but I still have about 80 of the supplies I originally purchased over 2 years ago. Story 140. Sorting silverware when they go into the dishwasher. Everyone else in my family just dumps them into the holder and then has to sit there and sort them to put them up. Story 141. Eat a kiwi, fruit like an apple. There's no need to discard the skin. Hell, I'd go as far as saying it's the best tasting part. Story 142. When I touched down at an airport, I asked the driver to meet me at the departure floor because the arrival floor has a big traffic jam. Story 143. Eat without a phone or screen on. Food becomes a psychedelic. You taste more. You're present with it. You overeat less. You savor the experience of eating more if you're sharing that meal with them. You are infinitely more present with them too. Story 144. Steam hot dogs, sausages in the microwave. They taste so much better than most other cooking methods. It takes a fraction of the time. Just pierce the skin with a fork, wrap it in a damp paper towel, heat for about 40 seconds. The exact amount of time depends on what you're cooking. I've gone as low as 30 seconds, as high as 1 minute. Since they come pre-cooked, you just need to steam it to your own preference. Note, this works with other foods too. You can wrap or cover with a damp paper towel to steam them in the microwave. It's especially useful for heating up leftover pasta. Story 145. When I cut open a bag of something, brown sugar for example, I use the piece of the bag I cut off as a tie for holding the bag closed. Story 146. Let me first say smoking is highly addictive and terrible for you, but rolling your own cigarettes on a hand crank injection roller with loose tobacco and tubes. Depending on your state, rolling your own smokes is like approximately 20 to 25% the cost of buying PAX cartons. It does require the time labor to roll, usually takes about 10-15 minutes to roll 20-40 based on your skill, and it does require the initial investment of a roller, 30-70 depending on brand and where it's bought, but for someone that makes little money, it's very cost effective. I can get roughly 3 cartons of smokes for $25, closer to 2 if the tobacco becomes dry and dusty at the bottom of the bag, and it's still a huge savings. Story 147. I always take a photo of the inside of my fridge and pantry right before I leave for the grocery store. This completely eliminates the guesswork of trying to remember if I have milk or eggs while standing in the aisle. It prevents buying duplicates and ensures I never forget the essentials. It is a 5-second habit that saves both money and frustration. Story 148. Unpack as soon as I get home from a trip. Last trip I got home at 1 a.m. and I still did it. Not only do a lot of people not do this, but I also get called a psycho for doing it, LOL. But I've lived on both ends, and as it turns out, not procrastinating saves me a lot of thinking about doing it time and anxiety. Also, most of it is just dirty laundry, so it's usually done in less than 5 minutes. Story 149. Plot a summary of your savings in a spreadsheet on a weekly basis. Turn it into a graph. It's incredibly satisfying. Seeing a line going from bottom left to top right really encourages you to keep on saving and let compounding do its thing. Story 150. If you have to go into hospital, make sure you take several long 3-meter cords and charging plugs. I have had several very long stays, and the electrical socket is always so far away. Also, nurses often sweep in and accidentally break the cords when they are coming to give you substances, etc. I also take a little portable charger for when I have to sit out of my bed. I also take in a cheap larger tablet. I've had 2 broken by nurses, not on purpose, just because they can be busy. So now take one that won't cost much to replace. Last tip is to take in your own little chargeable fan. Hospitals can get so hot and they never have fans available. Story 151. Keep a log of my screen time on a daily basis, handwritten on a piece of paper in my bedroom. After trying so much of so-called minimalist apps, looking at the physical note, it worked wonders for me. Story 152. The running list for GIFs and media is a game changer for sure. I also swear by text replacement shortcuts for emails and passwords. Honestly, starting with one small, manageable task is the key that unlocks the motivation to tackle everything else. Story 153. Drilled a hook in my wall specifically to hang my keys on. I thought nothing of it until hanging out with someone at their house, and we were getting ready to go somewhere, but she started flipping out and spent a few minutes looking for her keys. Story 154. Not really a hack, but learning kitchen knife basics, both for efficiency and safety reasons. The vast majority of people I know, even the ones that are decent at cooking, I'm scared for them every time I see them holding their fingers out straight by the knife's edge. Story 155. I always grab some extra twisty ties at the grocery store and store them in my bread cabinet. I can't even tell you how many times they've come in handy. Also, if you bake brownies, chocolate cake, or anything with chocolate, add a bit of espresso powder or ground coffee. It enhances the chocolate flavor and makes it taste rich and expensive without making it taste like coffee. Story 156. Blocking ads on your phone and browsers. Set your DNS to use AdGuard or Mulvad's DNS servers and install uBlock or AdGuard in your browser. Story 157. Companies will make their mid-range product worse to advertise their top-tier product, especially prevalent with consumables like detergents. Buy the cheapest powder you can find. Use it as instructed in your machine's manual. You'll get results as good, if not better, than top tier. Story 158. Put your feet up on a little platform when shoot. It makes it so much more pleasant. I didn't have to press anything out in years. Story 159. Every once in a while on my email app, there's this thing where you can select all, mark all as read. So instead of allowing it to say I've any amount of unread emails at all, my sister's personal best last I saw was genuinely over 10,000. This allows me to appear professional to whomever spits on my homepage, as gives me the personal illusion I'm on top of things. Look, you just cleared emails of your plate in well-fell swoop. I really don't get why more people don't do this. Story 160. Thanksgiving. If you bake you dressing, stuffing, and a muffin tin, everyone gets a good crusty part, and they're portioned for serving and/or storing. Story 161. Not using the word hack to mean anything other than whittling away at something or unauthorized computer access. Story 162. Mother fudged blocker. Y'all keep talking about ads on Reddit, YouTuber, etc. Mother fudge, what ads? You can't take literally 10 seconds to install UBO? Seriously don't understand how so many people out there just raw dogging ads all day. Story 163. I use a combination of macros, formulas, pi, etc. to automate extraction of data from various sheets and compile them into one that displays by the data I have it for. Charts, breakdown analysis, etc. Saves me hours. I just verify it's functional periodically, and it saves me a buttload of time having to manually extract or enter data from multiple places and add to multiple tabs. Now click of a refresh button or weekly scheduled time, and I can relax and just verify nothing is missing and everyone else did their jobs. Made mine so much more productive not having to scour sheets or chase people down for data. Now I'm alerted if data isn't completed on time for my extraction, email them, CC their boss, poof, data magically appears in the SharePoint within minutes and the automation can proceed. Story 164. People who work on computers all day and invariably copy and paste a lot but don't use a clipboard manager so they can copy and paste hundreds or thousands of things and easily search their clipboard. Story 165. Putting my phone on airplane mode when I sleep. 0 notifications, 0 stress, and my battery barely moves. Can't believe more people don't do it. Story 166. I used to do my chores in the little commercial breaks during TV, and it was amazing how doable even big cleaning chores are when you just hit them hard for a few minutes at a time. Since I stream all my shows now, I set a timer for 22 minutes of TV and the 8 minutes of cleaning, then repeat. More often than not, by like the third or fourth one, I'm somehow got myself into cleaning mode, and I just keep going. As a career procrastinator, this has been a game changer. Story 167. Plan after Christmas 2020. These future projects. Stop smoking, getting into sport, change job, expand your family. Story 168. Use a VR headset to work out. There's free workout apps and some paid ones, but the game thrill of the fight got me in spectacular shape within 2 months. Story 169. Add things you type all the time to your autocorrect in your phone. Your address, 123 Fake Street, app 23, city, state, zip. 103 type pops an autocorrect suggestion to your full address. I do the same for my email. Story 170. At fast food places that let you squirt ketchup into paper cups, you can unroll the paper edges and get 2 or 3 times more in one go. Story 171. Cat litter in the bottom of the kitchen trash bag. When you change bags, there is no trash water to clean out. Story 172. Get a really good battery bank. I got one last year on sale from Anchor that is capable of fast charging and lasts forever. Then when I'm done with it, I just throw it back on the base and it charges until I need it again. Story 173. A life sock. Find a sock, ideally one sock for most uses, and just buy that sock. It has to be continuously made. My sock drawer has just one sock in it. It doesn't matter if it's left or right foot. I just grab 2 socks from the drawer. They're a little spendy, fit sock, but I buy a few packs a year during sales. I've never had to retire any yet. I have a few pairs of dress socks, but I haven't needed them since the pandemic. But they're there if I need them. Story 174. Clean their gutters from the ground using a leaf blower with a candy cane-shaped attachment extension. Story 175. Bring an empty water bottle through airport security and a $1 bill. Go to a bar in the airport and ask to buy a cup of ice. Normally, they will give it to you for free. Give them the dollar as a tip. Put the ice in your water bottle and fill it up at the drinking fountain. Now you have cold water and didn't have to pay $11 for a Dasani. Story 176. I don't know if this is a hack, but everyone I know washes their mouth, gargle, and spit after having meals. I don't think people in the West do that. At least the shows I watch show them dab their mouth with napkin and fudge off in public with their food mouth. Story 177. Drinking a full glass of water right after waking up, before coffee, before anything. Fixes 50 of morning grogginess. Story 178. When I paint a room, I use those paint cups for the small brush, except instead of cleaning out the cup and brush every time I'm done painting for the day, I line the cup with a gallon Ziploc bag and then just zip the paintbrush and paint up in it as tightly as possible within the cup. The paint and brush stay wet so you can just unzip the bag when you're ready to start back up. I dislike cleaning brushes, LOL. Story 179. Get rid of your car and use active public transportation. Not paying for car-related expenses makes you feel like a millionaire. Walking, biking around, and taking transit makes every journey a mini adventure, and you stay fit. Sure, you take a little longer to get places, but it's well worth it. I understand people live in suburban and rural areas, and this is not possible, but if you can do it, it will be worth it. Story 180. I always test a door after I've locked it. I don't remember whether or not I've locked it if I don't. Story 181. Does everyone know the duvet cover roll method? I learned it a few years ago and it changed my life. Story 182. Realize that roll-on or stick deodorant will spread old sweat, smell, bacteria in your armpits after a few weeks without washing in between uses. Story 183. I get paid bi-weekly, so I have my budget spreadsheet laid out bi-weekly, not monthly. Why track outgoing money on a monthly basis if my incoming money is on a bi-weekly basis? It means I pay things when they're due and only pay them early when it benefits me personally. Story 184. I have a bunch of children. When filling out forms for each of them, I complete one set with all their common information, then I copy it 5 times and finish them. Saves me hours. Story 185. Pre-sort cutlery as you put them into dishwasher. Knives in one slot, forks in another, then spoons. Means you are just grabbing a handful when clean and plopping it in the drawer. Takes no extra time and in fact saves some. Story 186. Keep sunglasses next to your bed, so if you need to get up to piss at night, you don't wake up as much. Story 187. Park near the exit of the big box stores. You are entering the store empty-handed, but you are leaving with a cart full of merchandise. Park closer to the exit so you don't have to push a cart across a busy parking lot. Bonus points if you park near the cart drop-off spot. Story 188. I install Russian and Chinese IME on every computer I buy, so a lot of viruses just skip over me thinking I am the motherland. Story 189. When I buy a new dress and it's so long it drags on the ground, I tuck the fabric under my boobs and they hold it up. A tight sweater helps to hold it in place. Story 190. I won't use a measuring cup with flavor, packaging. I simply fill the packaging up with whatever liquid it calls for, and it usually is the right amount. Story 191. I keep a tiny reset so I never think about chores twice. 10 minutes Sunday night saves me a whole week of chaos. It feels like cheating because my brain finally stops begging me to remember nonsense all day. Turns out most of my stress was just unfiled tasks haunting me. Story 192. Before taking a dump, put a couple of sheets of toilet paper down the pan to prevent splashing your jerk when the log hits the water. Story 193. To remove the seed pit from an avocado, place your thumb at the back outer layer of it and your forefinger as well as your middle finger on either side around the seed inner layer. Push into the seed from the back outer layer with your thumb while keeping both fingers around the seed inner. The seed should pop out smoothly. I was today years old when I found this out. Here's the link of a visual demonstration of what I've just described. Story 194. I don't care about my socks being paired. I just throw them in the drawer and pull two out and wear them. I just distinguish between summer socks and winter socks and have two drawers. Nobody ever has said something negative about it, but I got some compliments about how creative and/or cool this is. I obviously also don't iron socks. Answer: yeah, I buy socks in multi-packs so they're the same weight and style, but then I never try to make them match. It's kind of fun, and it's usually hidden by boots or jeans or both. My other thing is buying multiples of jeans, tops, and hoodies to layer. They all coordinate, so I don't have to spend time figuring out outfits, which I find tedious and results in clothing that I don't wear for various reasons. So once I find a style I like that fits me properly, I just buy in multiples, do it for years at a time. Story 195. Selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace and other apps. I even sell 5 items that I don't want to throw out or even give away items in return for good reviews. I've had people using the honor system for items under 20 recently by having them put the money in a cup with a lid and picking up the items off my front porch in front of my Ring doorbell. I even bought my house as a foreclosure at age 23 by selling most of my possessions within 2 weeks on there. I just try to ignore the stigma. Story 196. At a grocery store, when they have a small and large size packages for something, the large is often more expensive per item weight. They bank on the fact the average person believes buying in bulk is cheaper. Story 197. The spoon trick for making mosquito bite itches go away for good. Still can't believe that this is not a common everyday knowledge. Story 198. Watch the crosswalk lights and/or the lights for the other direction. Coming up to a stale green, crosswalk lights will tell you how long till the light changes. The light will go yellow when the flashing crosswalk light hits 0. Stopped at a red light? Watch the other lights so you're ready when they go red and you go green. Story 199. Getting an emotional support animal letter from your doctor. Don't pay the scam fees for the piece of paper. Just ask your doctor for one. Story 200. When I was a kid, my uncle used to tell me and his kids that his thumb was so ticklish and to never tickle him there. Obviously we did, and he carried on like it was so bad and then never got actually tickled. Story 201. Never install Facebook on your phone. It listens to you and gives you suggestions based on recent conversations. Story 202. For the men, sit when you pee. The crown jewels need a proper air-to-ball ratio to be at maximum capacity all the time. Being stuffed in those tidy short, you guys wear that's extra true. Bonus is no more discussion with females over which position the rim is in BC. It's already in the superior position. Story 203. Taking care of yourself and maximizing your looks isn't vain. Work out, get skinny, learn to dress, rotate your clothes every month, have something brand new on. Sleep well, hydrate, eat well, moisturize. If you do this starting today, 3 months from now, your life will be different. I think like only 10% of the population has a six-pack, and that a high estimate. It sucks, but it's true. Attractive people have more opportunities in life. I get better service, free stuff. People want to be around you, EC. The only downside is you will get haters. Story 204. I'm known to friends as being fairly smart and, as having been in school through the 29th grade, also somewhat overeducated, such that I often get asked informational questions by friends, such as, why is there up? Or do dogs really lay eggs? My response is that I can't believe other people don't just ask their cell phones. William Gibson in Neuromancer 1984 proposed a cyberpunk future in which behind-the-ear slots into which we could poke multiple tiny slivers known as Microsofts, though Microsoft was not happy. It is even easier now than that. Now no socket is needed as our brains have expanded to access more knowledge than we could ever acquire before through the internet as mediated through AI browsers. So I don't need to reply to balance down so stay where we are, or I think you misspelled platypus. I just say, where's your phone? Story 205. Hit a hard-to-open jar with your flat hand to open easily. It only works if you hit the bottom of the glass. Hitting it will move the liquids inside, causing the lid to pop slightly and equilibrating the pressure. That's it for this video. Don't forget to support Vancher and my second channel, Vanchus. See you soon.